right before Easter, and I saw a picture of myself that I was taken, and I just was honestly disgusted with myself. Like I
Right.
looked at it and I go, oh hell no.
Exactly. No.
And honestly, that next day, it's just like it all came back. I just got up and I'm like, this is it. And I haven't looked back. And I, at that point, went strict keto again, which has always been kind of me off and on, but strict keto this time. And at that time, I was also trying to discover other things. I had worked with a very famous doctor prior to that in 2017 and 18, Dr. Gundry, Stephen Gundry. And so he used to tell me a little bit about intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And I always thought I fasted the right way.
Right.
Or not the right way, but I'm like, well, I don't usually eat till noon anyway. He's like, yeah, but you drink coffee with cream. I'm like, yeah, but it's not food. He goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, it disrupts the insulin. And I go, oh, and then like at night, I would have some nuts or something right before bed, but I'm not having dinner. I was just having a couple small bites.
Yes.
Like little things, like stupid little things, like a little thing here or there, like a little bite. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, well, I'm not eating dinner. He's like, yeah, no, because he goes, your insulin is being spiked right away. And I go, okay. So I remember that we had that conversation. So I dug into intermittent fasting, and that's when I discovered Dr. Jason Fung.
Oh, there you go.
And I got his book, and after that, I became obsessed about intermittent fasting. And
welcome to Body Sculpt of New York 6 Weeks to Fitness podcast, where we hope to inform, motivate, encourage, and inspire you towards living a healthier lifestyle. And now, here's your host, the president of Body Sculpt of New York, Vince Ferguson.
Great. Welcome to 6 Weeks of Fitness, episode 207. Thank you so much for joining me today. What if you woke up one day and realized that you were 30 to 35 pounds overweight? What would you do? Would you go back to sleep and hope that it was just a dream or a nightmare? Or would you do what my next guest did and take action? Joining me today to tell her amazing weight loss story is Sophia Paliov. Sophia, did I get that right?
you sure did.
Sophia Paliov. Sophia is the owner of SPPR-LA, a lifestyle, hospitality, beauty, and fashion PR firm out of Los Angeles, California. Sophia, how are you today?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Now that I have you on my show, I'm good.
Thanks.
But before we talk about your weight loss journey, I want you to share a little bit more information about your professional career with my audience. I understand you've been in the PR world for over 27 years with some very high-profile clients.
Yes, I have. Yes, it's been that long, which is a scary thought. But yes, I graduated from Cal State Fullerton in the early 90s, and I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but that was a very hard industry to get into. So when I went to college, I was smart enough to know that I couldn't do that or have a very successful career. So I decided to go into communications, which was PR, and I also did advertising. But I stuck with PR, and I went to, once I graduated from Cal State Fullerton, I started doing internships in a lot of the major movie studios like Paramount. I worked, I worked on the lot there for a while, did production work. But then I decided, okay, that's not for me. So then I started interning in entertainment PR firms, and I loved it. So at first I worked as a publicist for some celebrities in a smaller boutique firm. And I did that for several years, but no offense to publicists who do talent PR, I just knew I didn't have the patience for it because it was kind of like glorified babysitting, So after a few years out of that, I went to a really big agency. At the time, it was called BWR. They no longer exist, but they were one of the biggest. There used to be one in New York. And I hopped on board on the lifestyle side and was there for a long time. And I worked on a lot of big hotels. We did the opening of Bacara Resort and Spa, which was up in Santa Barbara. We did the opening of Wynn Las Vegas. We did, so there was a lot of that And then I left. I went to another agency where I worked with the Four Seasons in Bali and the Maldives and San Ysidro Ranch in Santa Barbara. So you know, a lot of hotel and lifestyle and food and beverage. That's when I really also fell in love with wine and et cetera. Went back to BWR. So anyway, stayed there for a long time. A lot of travels due to, you know, the type of clients I worked on. And then about 13 years ago, I left the agency world. I left LA, came out, or no, probably actually 15 now, geez, and came out to Orange County, worked for a small boutique firm that ended up closing. And then around that time, I decided to just finally freelance and work for myself because other personal reasons. My dad was sick with cancer, so I wanted to spend more time with him. So it was kind of like it worked out. The timing was good. And ever since then, I've been kind of working for myself and doing, you know, working on my own clients. I work with other people. I collaborate as well. But so it's been a full journey. But yeah, I've loved every minute of it. It's changed a lot because of social media. PR is a little different than it was when I first started, but it's still exciting, you know.
Oh yeah, sounds like it. It looks like it. You know what I mean? It must be. And I'm thinking in that world, that PR world, of working with lifestyle, hospitality, beauty brand, fashion brands, so much has to do with your health and how you look, right? Am I correct?
It is. A lot of it has to do with your, well, it has to do with your health, of course, and how you look, especially in LA.
Yes.
But, you know, a lot of it was networking. A lot of it was going out in the evenings. A lot of it was drinks and this and that. So, you know, it was a very fast-paced lifestyle. Yes.
Oh, most definitely. So let's dive into your weight loss journey, because I want to know what happened. Where did you start? When did you realize you started, you know, getting the health started going downhill? And let's start from when you were a child. Let's start there.
From a child, wow. Growing up, I was always very thin. My mom wasn't able to drive. She had really bad eyesight and astigmatism and everything. So of course my dad drove, but he'd be at work all day. So pretty much my whole life, up until 16, until I got my own car, we pretty much walked everywhere. I walked to school. I was in ballet and tap 5 days a week. So there was about 2 hours of that a day. And of course, like I was very skinny. In fact, to the point where my ballet teacher would weigh me once a week to make sure that, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, no. My mom's like, no, she eats, I promise. So yeah, I never really had a weight problem at all up until, you know, even in college, because I still worked out then, and in college, yes, you eat kind of bad, but you're out and you're dancing and you know, you kind of burn it off, and obviously your metabolism is very different too. Yes. So honestly, fast forwarding till my early 30s, even my early 30s, I was really good. I was still the same weight pretty much, no issues. So that's why when I did gain all this weight, which for me it was a lot, it was a shocker because my whole life I was thin. And it wasn't until I think my early, like 33, 34, when things kind of started changing and shifting for me. And that's also when we found out my dad's cancer became, you know, was stage 4. So, you know, a lot of the stress, and I was kind of back and forth a lot. And I did start, I didn't really work out. And even though I've never really been a bad eater, and plus during this time is when I actually put him on a very strict diet, because they gave him a year left and we extended it at least 5 years, all due to like a keto, no carb, no gluten, no, you know, no sugar, basically. So I knew that worked, and I kind of hopped on that bandwagon myself with it, along with it. But, you know, I was having hormonal issues also because of fibroids, which are, you know, can be a death sentence for some girls and the way their hormones work. So that was making me gain weight. So it was just kind of, you know, with the stress, my cortisol being up and stuff, I slowly was starting to gain weight. And I didn't really notice it because I mean, I noticed it, but I didn't, because I kind of carried my weight evenly. So it wasn't like it was all in my stomach or all, you know, and even a lot of friends later were like, you know, you kind of carried it well. So I'm like, thanks, I guess, you know, but it bugged me. But it was one of those things that I didn't really do anything until way after he passed, which was in 2010, end of 2010. And it wasn't until 2015 that I was like, I've had enough. I'm doing this. I'm getting on strict keto, or no, not keto, but strict low carb. A lot of keto, but mainly gluten-free, but I worked out like a fiend. And yeah, I lost my weight. I went back down to what I was comfortable with. And then in early or late spring of 2017, I hurt myself, my lower back really bad in a fitness class.
Working out, really?
Working out, doing burpees, because we were, they had you do burpees really super fast.
Oh.
And so at that point, you kind of lose form.
Yes,
You're more about like, how many can you get done?
Yes.
So unfortunately, one of them, and I felt it, but I didn't think anything of it. And then the next morning for about 6-7 months, I was walking slower than my almost 90-year-old mother at the time. Like, you know what I mean? It was so bad.
Yes.
6-7
months, that long?
Yes, it was really bad. I couldn't even sleep in my bed. It was better standing up. I was even trying to turn in bed. Sometimes I would make like it was bad. It was my piriformis syndrome. So all the way down my leg, it was, So anyways, and after that, again, and during this time now I'm dealing with other stress things in life because, from 17 and 18, because my mom was towards the end stage of her Alzheimer's. So I had that and then work. And at that point, again, I was dealing with my little girly issues. So oh my God. And I kind of let it all go. And after being off the workout kick, that I had lost the weight, you kind of lose your drive to get back into it.
Right.
And because I was stressed out, I guess I would say a form of depression as well, because of what I was going through with her and trying to, taking care of an Alzheimer's person is really difficult.
It has to be difficult.
Yeah, it's just mentally so difficult. And so, for a long time there, it's just one thing led to another. And then early 20, after she passed in December of 2018, 19 and 20. So then in 19, I had to, sell the house. So I had to go through all that. And then for the rest of that year, I was just kind of like, I was just trying to figure out myself. And I'm like, okay, this is my time. And then 2020 hit. And, the first couple months obviously was okay until we all know what wasn't okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But at that time, again, at that point, everything had really escalated for me with my hormonal issues. And so I finally had to have surgery in June of 2020, which I got lucky. They were able to fit me in with the
that going
pandemic.
On. Yes.
Yeah, I had to get pushed off. But by that point, I had ballooned up to 165 pounds.
165, and I believe you are what, 5'6"?
I'm 5'6".
5'6".
Yeah.
165 would add a little girth to you.
Yeah, and you could see it in my face. You could see you could see it. Now, to someone who didn't know me, they'd be like, well, you're not obese. I'm like, well, thank God I wasn't trying to get to that point. I was trying to stop it. But especially for me, having come from where I've come from, for me, that was heavy and uncomfortable. Even when I was sitting, I could feel like the roll. I'm like, oh God. So
yes, you didn't feel right.
I just didn't feel right. And I was miserable,
Right.
And then after that, waited to heal for a while. And then the fall hit. By the time I was able to really get going and moving again, the fall hit. And of course, my birthday, and then it's the holidays. And I was like,
festivities. Okay. Exactly.
Festivities. So it wasn't until early 2021, I'm like, okay, I do little walks here and there, and I would do little things. But again, I didn't have that drive in me again. Like I didn't have that where I just went into it. Yes. And honestly, it wasn't until back to April of that, it was that right before Easter. And I saw a picture of myself that I was taken, and I just was honestly disgusted with myself. Like I looked at it and I go, oh, hell no.
Exactly. No.
And honestly, that next day, it's just like it all came back. I just got up and I'm like, this is it. And I haven't looked back. And I, at that point, went strict keto again, which has always been kind of me off and on. But strict keto this time. And at that time, I was also trying to discover other things. I had worked with a very famous doctor prior to that in 2017 and 18, Dr. Gundry. Stephen Gundry. And so he used to tell me a little bit about intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And I always thought I fasted the right way,
Right.
or not the right way, but I'm like, well, I don't usually eat till noon anyway. He's like, yeah, but you drink coffee with cream. I'm like, yeah, but it's not food. He goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, it disrupts the insulin. And I go, oh, and then like at night, I would have some nuts or something right before bed, but I'm not having dinner. I was just having a couple small bites.
Yes.
Like little things, like stupid little things, like a little thing here or there, like a little bite. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, well, I'm not eating dinner. He's like, yeah, no, because he goes, your insulin is being spiked right away. And I go, okay. So I remember that we had that conversation. So I dug into intermittent fasting, and that's when I discovered Dr. Jason Fung.
Oh, there you go.
And I got his book, and after that, I became obsessed about intermittent fasting and just reading everything about it with the benefits and everything. And so I have started, I have honestly, from that moment on till right now, I still intermittent fast every day. To a degree, there's days where I let it go longer. There are days where I have no fasting, but because I now I just keep my body guessing. It has no idea what's happening. But in the beginning, I was very strict. But yes, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
And along with keto, they're both mimicking diet. You know, they work together really well. And so I've kept my weight off. I got down to, let's see, I started officially fasting May of 21.
Oh, 2 years, about 2 years, well, 2 years ago.
October, yeah. And that October was my 50th birthday. So by October, my goal weight was to get to my goal weight, which was 130. And I actually got down to 129.
Really?
And then after that, I actually had gone down all the way to like 123, 124. But now I fluctuate depending, because I've also built a lot of muscle, because now I resistance train all the time. I weight train, several times a week. I'm always moving my body. And so now I fluctuate between 126 and 129. It just really depends, but I hover at 128 comfortably now.
That's good. So it took you how long to actually lose the weight to be where you are today?
Well, from May to actually by the end of September, but October was when my birthday. That was my goal. My goal weight was for October, but I reached it by the end of September.
Well, the same year.
Of 21. Yeah.
It was like 4 months.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But now you also talked about keto. Now, why is keto? Because that's a low carb diet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but why is that effective, do you think?
Well, because of the sugar, not, both of them are obviously to avoid sugar, because one of it is to not spike your insulin. And then with the keto is not to add sugar into your diet, any carbs. And I love keto. Like, to me, clean keto, obviously there's dirty keto too. And that could be, but that's dirty keto is what gets the bad rap and makes everybody go, oh, keto. I'm like, well,
right.
That's, that's all the junk that you see out in the stores, like, oh, minus net carbs. And I do it once in a while too. If I want a keto ice cream, I'll have it. Is it better than the alternative? Yeah. Is it still dirty keto? Yeah. But it's that little bit, but keto just sustains me. It's very filling. I eat a lot of protein. So the protein really brings you to satiety. It really fills you up.
Fills you up more.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that when you have a low carb, when you're eating low carbs, when you're exercising, or when you're walking around, the first nutrient your body's burning off are the carbs.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not even getting to the fat if you have carbs in your body. That's, and your insulin levels spiking. So if you want to burn fat, you got to get rid of the carbs first.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the whole idea, and it makes a lot of sense when you.
Yeah, and you're having a lot of us, who want to lose weight, especially in the beginning. We have enough fat. We're not going to go into starve. When people are like, "Oh, you're starving yourself when you're doing fasting," I used to get that a lot in the beginning. I'm like, well, first of all, I have a refrigerator full of food, so I'm not starving.
Right. And
second of all, I have enough fat on my body where it can last a while. It's fine. Like, it has enough fuel to go off of. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my friends are now doing this along with me. I've gotten a lot of people where, some of them are not maybe as dedicated to only keto, maybe just low carb, or they've cut back a lot. Some of them do fasting just a couple of days a week, which is fine too, but they've all seen benefits.
Yes.
And, I do it not just, but I also didn't do fasting and or keto only for weight loss, because there's other ways to lose weight. The problem is then you kind of get stuck, your metabolism hits a rough spot, and then you're kind of like, okay, now what? That's why, you look at a lot of these diet plans, and why do you think you keep going back and back? Like, I'm not going to mention names, but there's a lot of it there. So, but I do it for longevity purposes, because I am trying to avoid, hopefully, diseases like Alzheimer's or cancer and stuff. Now, is it bulletproof? No, but it's the best I got in my little arsenal of toolboxes, because I can't control anything else. This is the best I got. So the less sugar I put in my body and the less inflammation I have in my body,
Yes.
the better. And both of them are very anti-inflammatory ways of living.
It's a great way to live. But why is it that most people are, when you mention fasting, they freak out?
Because they think you're starving yourself.
Right.
And they think it's not normal. And it's actually very normal. And that's actually how our bodies were meant to be.
Exactly.
If you look prior to refrigeration days, and prior to when Kellogg's came out, there's no cereal in the 1500s. There was but people ate, or even, you got your food, you hunted, you ate for a day or two, then you probably didn't eat for a whole day, because there was you got to look at the animal kingdom.
Yes.
Lions will eat, and then they don't eat, and then they hunt, and then they,
Exactly.
That's how we were meant to too. We're not meant to eat 24 hours a day.
Right. Well, if you listen to the food companies, we were.
Of course, it's about money. It's about money. Everything is, look, that's a whole other bandwagon I can go on, but it's all about money. So, but no, we're fine not to eat all day long. You don't have to also fast just only one meal a day, which is OMAD. I do that. I do 2 meds. I do 4 to 6 hour windows. There's days I eat all day. For instance, I was gone this last weekend. I had wine. I mean, wine's kind of like my thing. So I have wine. I have, we ate most of the day. There was nothing. I was like, what? This weekend, I'm just going to eat. And then early this week, it was, I cut it back. I knew how to get right back on. So I can start burning through all that. And like next week, I'm planning a full carnivore week for myself, so I can really detox. But, I'm constantly changing it up with my body.
I think that's good, because you kind of keep it off balance, right? This way it's definitely going to work.
Yeah.
You don't have to intermittent fast every day,
Not at all. You can do it 2 or 3 times a week. There's alternate day fasting that a lot of people do, where you eat kind of a 6 to 8 hour window one day, the next day you don't eat anything. You have coffee, plain coffee and whatever, and then the next day people can do that. Everybody can find their own rhythm and what works for them. In the beginning, you might want to be more on that stricter, but then once you kind of get in the groove and you get metabolically healthy and you're able to switch on and off, you're good. And then you kind of switch right back into it. And I actually like keeping my body guessing, because half the time I don't even know what I'm going to do. And that's good, because my metabolism doesn't get stuck in one or the other. So I'm constantly, Sunday, I was in, like I said, Santa Barbara, Friday to Sunday. And then by Tuesday, I was already back with ketones. Like I measured and I'm like, okay, I'm back in. It was fun, because I'm now metabolically flexible. I can switch in and out.
And your body.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, plus just to double check, I measured, because I have the Keto Mojo type. Right. So I do that. But yeah, but it takes a little while to get to that level. It wasn't like that in the beginning. But yeah.
You have support, friends kind of rooting you on.
Yeah, we're all kind of in the same umbrella. We all kind of support each other. Yes, we have several text groups that are, where we do that, but we kind of do our own thing. Everybody has a different schedule. Some people have to work out of an office, some don't. So everyone's a little different, but my core group of friends, yeah, we're all either low carb or and the intermittent fast, but again, everyone does it a little different. I have a few people that are very hardcore, like me, if you want to call it hardcore. But I also make sure to move every single day. That's my big thing to everybody. I might just move your body every day, do whatever you can, because that to me is also very important.
Are you you're exercising regularly now?
Yep. Every single morning I'll take a walk, and a lot of times after my last meal I try to, and then I do strength training about 3 to 4 times a week, depending on what it is that I do. I do rowing. It's a rowing class on usually it's on Wednesday if I can, but I'll do a rowing class once a week, which is more like a HIIT type thing. But you know, you get off the machine and you do strength training and you get back on the machine. So that, and then I have I do once a week. I also go to a place here in Irvine, which is called Thrive Training in Irvine, and it's a lot of like you know, a lot of weights, and it's just, you know, a good mix of stuff that they mix up, and I try to do that on different days too. And then I have my own stuff that I do, and I go to the gym and I do legs and I do arms, and you know, so I switch it up constantly.
Nice. Now I read something where you said that you tell your friends, or you tell people, that you have to know your why.
Yes.
I always talk about that. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You know, and is weight loss a good thing? Yeah, of course, because I think we all kind of start on that, but you got to know what your why is so you can be motivated to keep doing it and making it a lifestyle, not where it's a chore, not where it's oh my God, I got to get up and walk. Oh my God, or oh, I can't have this, or oh, I can't eat that. Why is it that you can't have it? Or do you have an addiction of sugar? Do you have a disease or a metabolic syndrome of some sort that you gotta, you know, you gotta fix, or something to prevent? Like my why is to hopefully, and again, I'm not saying it's 100%, but hopefully prevent Alzheimer's, which is diabetes of the brain, as they like to call it.
Yes.
And or cancer. Like that's my why. And of course, looking good is a great why, but you know, we're all getting older and it doesn't matter. That's a bonus, but that to me is not my major why. My major why is what the inside of my body is doing.
Yes. Yeah. And to be healthy. I mean, you know, to be able to live your life.
Exactly.
You know? I tell anyone, look, if you want to be successful, you have this goal in mind. If you don't have your health, forget the goals. You know,
well, you know, there's no greater thing except for your health. I mean, you have some of the biggest, richest, most powerful people in the world who have died from something, and they had it all, you know.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them. So at the end of the day, that is probably the most important thing. And but you don't want to look at whatever lifestyle you choose. For me, this is the way I like it. It works for me. I don't feel restricted. Again, this past weekend, I decided to have a bowl of pasta. It was actually very little, but I didn't feel guilty. I'm like, you know what? I mean, the next morning, my stomach was not too happy with me because it wasn't used to that. But it was okay. I'm like, you know what? In a couple of days, it'll be burned off, this, that, the other. I was done. And the next morning, it was like it never happened. I just go right back to my normal routine and my normal way of living. It's like, so it's not like you can never have something if there's a special whatever going on. Like, I'm not super dogmatic about it, but because I feel like when you are that dogmatic, then you're kind of, you know, you're going to have a harder time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I love how you mentioned Dr. Jason Fung, because when I found him, I was like, whoa. The way he talks, I mean, I dived into so many of his videos and learned so much about intermittent fasting. Now, I come from a religious background where growing up in church, everybody fasted, right? Yeah. We learned that as a kid, but not so much now. People are like, fast, are you crazy? But then we realize we all fast when we're sleeping at night. Right? And now we're going to extend the fast. That's
exactly. Well, and the whole, and as he likes to say, it's breakfast. Breakfast.
You break it fast.
Yeah, and we all survive overnight for some reason. We're not eating for 8 hours. Oh my goodness, or
Thank
however
you.
long you
Thank
sleep. Like,
you.
like we still get up alive, you know?
Exactly. Now, I interviewed Dr. Ashley Lucas in my podcast, and she shared with me, and I had to do my research after hearing this from her. She said, Vince, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. I said,
No.
what are you talking about? I'm telling everybody, you got to have your breakfast. She said, no, John Kellogg from the Kellogg Company started that rumor. And I did my research, and sure enough, she was right.
Oh yeah.
So
And
about you.
the reason why he started Kellogg's and the flakes was about not so you wouldn't have any sexual urges. I mean, that's how the flakes came about.
Really?
Yes.
Something else I
So
didn't know.
if you dive a little deeper, the guy, you know, he was messed up. But outside of that, yeah, there was no breakfast before that. People got up, they did work on the farm, whatever. Then I think it's better to eat a bigger meal for your first meal, whenever that is that 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and then eat smaller, like your last meal being smaller, technically.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think
Makes
that's
sense.
healthier.
Exactly.
And I usually, most of my days, I try to stop eating by at latest at 5, sometimes 3.
Really?
But I have nights, like for instance, tomorrow night I'm going out, and so I'm going to be eating later, which is fine. Again, no big deal. But this whole week I was for at least Monday and Tuesday, and tonight I stop at 3.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you're able to have a regular life even while you're intermittent fasting.
100%, 100%. It's very doable. You just, and you switch around the times, and that's actually a good thing, because I think that's, like I say, that's one way to keep your body going. Oh crap, we're not getting food right. Oh, we're eating. Oh, okay. Like, you know, my body
Amazing.
never knows.
But I think people are afraid when they have cravings right away. They're worried because I'm hungry. I gotta eat. Your body is gonna take care of your hunger. Just hold out long enough.
Yeah, and it's not true hunger. Like we think it's a hunger pain. It's not, and it's psychological, really. And also, just drink some water with a little either apple cider vinegar or a little salt, and it goes away. But that also, these type of cravings do go away after, especially if you're eating a lot of protein.
Yes.
Like, I eat so many eggs, I am surprised I have not started growing feathers. Like, I eat a lot of eggs, I eat a lot of bacon, I eat and that gets you so full, so
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
And you really don't want to eat anything afterwards. You know, and then a good amount of fat. Sometimes I'll make these little butter bombs that I love to. I don't do it all the time because I get enough fat from my meat, and from, you know, like I'll put cream and I eat cheese and whatever. But yeah, it does get rid of your cravings. And I've never been a big sugar fanatic anyway for me. So, but I love bread. I grew up with fresh weekly bread by my mom. Like that was her thing. She always made bread every week, like 2 or 3 loaves a week. So I grew up on bread and potatoes, and like my whole life. But
Yes.
you know,
But still, look at you now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It shows. And do you let's say, do you try to convince people to go intermittent fasting, or you just say, well, this is what I do, you can do if you want?
You know, so I started this little Instagram thing. It's called Keto Me Healthy. I do it for fun. I don't even like spend money on it to promote it. Like, it's just my own little kind of almost diary with that everybody can kind of watch. And I help people. A lot of my friends and people know, and they've come to me and they're like, can you kind of help me out? Or can you, what do you think of this? Or what do you, so I do. And I recommend it. But when I see people push back, like, oh, I don't think, keto's not healthy and da da da. And then I realize they have fallen by the old school way of thinking, of the way doctors think about nutrition. And, they don't really know much about nutrition. And, when they tell you that carbs and bread and whatever is, yeah, and even Cheerios right now, that new Tufts, did you see that new pyramid from Tufts University?
No, I haven't.
The one that came out, what was it, earlier this year, where they're trying to tell you that Cheerios and Lucky Charms is better for you than a chicken breast.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, no, you got to look it up.
It's Tufts, TUF.
Yeah, the big Tufts University. So and they're trying to give this to the White House so they can promote this in schools. And I'm like, okay, the day that Cheerios, the most processed food, or Lucky Charms is healthier for you than a chicken breast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
my
you know, so when I see that people kind of push back, I just kind of let them be, because you don't want to preach.
right.
But if they ask, oh, I will give my opinion, of course. And I try to help if they're willing to listen. If they don't, then, you know, it's on them. We all have to find our own journey, and that's fine.
Exactly.
There's not only one way. I mean, I think paleo is a really good way of living too. And you don't have to be keto like 20 grams, or I'm usually under 50 grams, and I do fine and I still stay in ketosis. But even if you're under 100, you're not keto, but you're low carb. And I think that's still very good compared to what most Americans, you know, the standard American diet, the SAD diet, that's over that. I mean, they're like 300 grams a day, if not 400 with some people. I mean, that's horrible. And then you wonder why we have diabetes and cancer, and that we didn't have these issues back in the 50s and 60s and even 70s. It all changed.
Yes.
You know,
so we've got to think about that and see what has happened since that time. You know what I mean?
The low fat industry happened, and that was all a lot of sugar, and you know, and then everybody was trying to tell you to eat margarine instead of butter. I'm like, no, butter is fine. Margarine is, you know, I mean, and all the seed oils that everybody eats, that's another thing. And so I try to tell a lot of my friends, I'm like, read the labels. Almost everything has canola.
Yes, canola.
Safflower, sunflower. I mean, it's the worst processed food that you can get. And a lot of times these oils, because they're cheap, you know, they'll put them in there because they won't put olive oil or avocado oil, you know.
Yes, I use avocado oil.
Oh yeah, me too. Avocado, and I use ghee. I love ghee. I use a lot of butter, olive oil. I don't really cook with olive oil, but I'll, you know, use it for, obviously I make my own salad dressings as much as I can.
You do?
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty good, because I know you're very much on the go, parties, events, and so, but you still manage to try to eat healthy.
Even last night we did a concert in the park, but I made my own salmon salad, which I know exactly what went in there, and I made my own little chicken finger tenders that I dill flavored, but I rolled them in a panko, but not actual panko, pork rinds that work like panko. They sell them like that, and so I use pork rinds, so it was actually all carnivore. But yeah, so you know, there's a way. I don't get me wrong, I eat out and I hate it, because even though I love eating out, it's just a lot of bad seed oils. So
yes,
you know, but anything that I cook at home, it's very clean, and I try to do as much organic as I can.
Right.
Grass fed is wild. As much as I can. You know, there's times where I don't, but it's okay.
Well, that's awesome, though. I mean, I'm impressed with what you're doing, you know, and I kind of wanted to have you on so you can talk about your journey.
Thank you.
To know that, you know, you can do this, you know.
Yes.
And it's a normal progression of life. Basically, you want to be healthy. Fasting is a normal progression. We always fasted. Just now we're thinking that we got to eat. I used to tell people, eat 5-6 meals a day.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm telling them what to do to boost their metabolism.
But we all thought that, though. We all thought that. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with there. We shouldn't feel guilty, because we all fell for it. We all thought that you're constantly raising your insulin. And if you're working out constantly, and if you're younger too, you can get away with it because you're burning it off quickly. But most people, and especially once you get into the later half of your years, it's a lot of them don't work out, or they don't have, and so it's harder. So the less you put in your mouth, kind of the better, or the less often, really, I should say.
Yeah, not eating as often, allow the food to digest properly, give it more time to digest, you know. I think that's the key. And when people talk about, well, if I'm fasting, I'm starving. No, starving means you don't have any food.
Yeah.
You have food.
You got food.
Fasting means it's a voluntary, you know, abstinence from food.
Yeah.
I volunteer not to eat. I'll be all right. So will you.
And it's okay. And then you know what? Eventually your body's gonna be like, okay, they're not feeding me. I guess we'll just quiet down now. And then we'll go to that, you know, fat stored thing that's in your butt or in your thighs, and I'll eat all of that. Go ahead. That's what I want you to do.
It works 100%. Well, before I let you go,
Sure.
any other words of wisdom you want to share about eating healthy and losing weight and, reducing chronic disease? Because it's all connected.
It's all connected. Look, fasting, outside of course, losing weight, as I said before, it's amazing for that. Yes. But it helps bring down the inflammation and helps, of course, reverse a lot of diabetes. People don't realize that. Yes, you can reverse it. Type 2 especially. It helps with your brain. It makes you more energetic, because you're creating ketones, you're creating autophagy, which is cell repair, where, you're able to get rid of old cells and cells that are not good. You're able to kind of get them out of your system and have new ones created. And again, along with keto, you don't have to do keto, but along with keto, because keto kind of tends to do that too. And working out creates autophagy. So it's kind of a boom, 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 and it all adds up. So the more you can do of that, of course, the better. But yeah, to me, it's about, that whole old saying, and I'm horrible at sayings, but basically you can live a long life, but how do you want to, it's the quality of your life.
Yes.
My mom died at 91, and a lot of people were like, oh, she lived to be 91. Not a good 91. She was Alzheimer's, and she was like almost like a toddler for the last 5 years of her life. So
yes,
that's not a good way to go.
That's not a good way to live.
I'd rather die at 91, but die with my brain intact, die with me being able to walk and take care of myself. So that's my goal. And hopefully that is the way I'm going to go someday. But, so right now I can't predict the future, but my why is to know that hopefully when I get to 80, 90 years old, or if I make it that long, that I make it that long in a healthy way where I'm not dependent on others to take care of me.
Oh, most definitely, very good. Because people are living longer today, but they're not living as healthy as they should.
Everybody's sick. Everybody's on some kind of medication. Something.
Yes. 10, 15 minutes by the time they're 65.
Oh, it's so sad. It's like blood pressure and this and this, and now everybody's on that new weight loss drug. I'm like, you don't think there's side effects of that? I'm like, oi.
Huge side effects, and you got to keep going back with injections, and basically it's causing other issues. Anything that you put in your body that's foreign to your body, you got to question it.
It's gonna kick out, and it's gonna retaliate sooner or later.
Yes. Sophia, how can my listeners and my viewers, how can they find out more about you?
Well, like I said, I do Keto Me Healthy on Instagram. I just started it not that long ago. Like I said, it's not like one of those typical Instagram channels where I'm constantly like doing stuff, but I'm on there, so they can follow me there or on Facebook, and it's just Keto Me Healthy. That's it.
It's Keto Me Healthy.
Keto Me Healthy. So yeah.
Beautiful. And your firm is
SPPR-LA.
Love
So I do, so that's just a little boutique PR, agency out here in SoCal.
Awesome. Sophia Paliov.
Yes.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for coming on my show.
Of course, you're so welcome. I love this. This is amazing. Thank you.
You are amazing. And to my listeners and viewers, I hope you guys had a wonderful experience as well as I did. That you will continue tuning in to my 6 Weeks of Fitness podcast. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave it on my blog or email me at 6weeks@business6weeks.com. And don't forget, we don't stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. 100%.